there everyone, this is a top 10 list of the biggest screw-ups committed by the Abrahamic God of the Old and New Testament. Enjoy! On the first day of creation, God made the heavens and the earth, only to then realize that he couldn't see a goddamn thing. So he said, "Let there be light." And so there was light. And God called that day and the darkness night, and there was evening and there was morning, end of day 1. However, God did not create a source of light, i.e. the sun and the other stars, until day 4. Oops. Also, apparently God is an idiot who thinks that the moon is a source of light on its own. Awkward. On the third day, God created the dry land and made vegetation grow on it. All the seed-bearing plants and trees with fruit and all that jazz, most of these plants depending on being pollinated by insects, even though there weren't any insects yet. And of course, depending on the sun, which he only created a day later. I guess it was a busy day? Now, when it comes to God's most beloved creation, things get particularly bizarre. Even if God created female counterparts at the same time with the respective males of all the other species, I guess he somehow forgot to make a human female. Because before long we find out that for Adam no suitable helper was found. So at some point God decrees that it is not good for man to be alone, I will make suitable helper for him. As a side note to all you women out there who may think of yourselves as equal to men, you're obviously just suitable helpers. Get over yourselves. But it gets even better, because when it comes to creating a human female, God doesn't just puff her out of nothing like he did with everything else, but he makes her out of one of Adam's ribs. I guess leaving poor Adam effectively missing a rib for the rest of his life, since he was already created perfect, and of course sending the message that the suitable helper literally belongs to the man, in case this wasn't clear already. Christians would have you believe that Adam and Eve, of course Eve in particular, were responsible for what's known as the fall, or the original sin, which is the official reason for why the world is such a misery-filled shithole. However, it was God who intentionally designed human beings to be flawed and weak in the face of temptation. And God was the one who put the tree in the garden, knowing that they're gonna eat from it. It was God who created the snake, and it was God who allowed the snake in the garden. Adam and Eve were idiots who knew nothing about nothing. They didn't even understand the difference between good and evil. On the other hand, God is omniscient. He knew ahead of time exactly how things will unfold. So yeah, this original sin, this colossal screw-up, that's on you, Big Daddy. When the angel Gabriel appeared to Mary to give her the good news that she's about to become a human incubator for the Messiah, he told her that Jesus will be given the throne of David and he will reign over the house of Jacob. Of course, neither of these things ever happened, which left everyone in a state of utter confusion and fighting each other for centuries. Jesus told his listeners that some of them will not taste death until they see him coming in his kingdom, which is the reason why people believe that the second coming of Jesus will happen fairly soon. Needless to say, that happened 2000 years ago, and humans don't live that long. Really, dude, what's the point of being God if you can't even fulfill your own prophecies? That's just lame. You know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and count the entirety of the Old Testament as one giant monumental screw-up. I mean, think about it. God had to send his only son down on earth to be tortured and killed to basically rectify the damage that God the Father did. You know, so future Christians don't have their disobedient children stoned to death by the city elders and shit like that. Because that was in the Old Testament. Jesus came and changed all that. Well, if God set up things right in the first place, there would have been no need for that. Unless it was all an excuse for God to impregnate his own mother with himself. You know, for the kicks. So remember that time when God killed everybody because he regretted that he had made them? This coming from a being who's supposed to be perfect in every conceivable way, and all-knowing of all things to come, so by definition cannot make mistakes and have regrets. And yet he's all, well, I made a boo-boo, people suck. Should I exercise my omnipotence by puffing them out of existence just like I puffed them into it? Oh, where's the fun in that? Instead, I'm gonna send a global flood and kill everyone in horrible ways. Besides maybe like a handful of people and a boatload of animals. There's gotta be someone left to worship me. What a dick. Now, this isn't technically a screw-up, but it needs to be number 1 on the list, because the idea of hell has to be the most fucked up thing that God has ever come up with. So God creates this horrific place of eternal torture, knowing that most people are gonna end up in there. But then he declares himself benevolent and expects gratitude and praise and worship because he's saving people from himself. Dick. So that concludes our top 10 list of God's biggest screw-ups. If you liked it, please thumb up this video and comment below. Tell me what would you add or maybe take off this list, and what do you think are the biggest failures committed by other deities. See you soon.